The No Nonsense Roundtable. It's a weekly show broadcast on Rochester, New York's 50,000-watt iHeart radio station, News Radio Wham 1180. The host, Dom Geneva, interviews guests from all walks of life, all with amazing stories to tell. What you are about to hear is a recording of a previous broadcast with limited commercials. Now, here's host Dom Geneva.
Well, welcome everybody to a special edition of the No Nonsense Roundtable, because we are going to be talking today about something I've been working on for like 48 years. I am here with my good friend and my co-host and my mentor, Mike Whittemore. Mike.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the No Nonsense Roundtable. Don't be taken for a ride, baby.
Don't be taken for a ride.
Yeah.
So I was talking about for 48 years. So I started with Chrysler on June 1st of 1977.
At the age of 23.
Yeah, working for a sales office. So you're the manufacturer. You're working for the manufacturer, Chrysler, and you're calling on dealers. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm in the New York City area, and I did that for 17 years. 17
Wow.
years working for the factory, as they call it, one way or the other, and got transferred to North Carolina. Got us, go up the ladder with Chrysler, and was there until 1994, where Nita and I sold everything we had,
right,
to start a dealership, a little dealership in Avon,
New York.
Genesee Valley Chrysler Dodge Jeep.
Tiny little dealership that had been, they've been selling, about 3 cars a month?
No, they were actually dead.
Oh, they were dead.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I can see you have not written the book. Read the book yet.
But you were. Oops. You caught me. You caught me.
A little show prep would have been.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. I learned all my show prep from Jim Salmon. That was it.
No, it was an empty building. It had no heat or light or whatever. We were going across the dealership to the Ford dealership to take a poop.
And Chrysler expected that you were going to sell 3 cars a month. Wasn't that it?
Okay, let me take over on this, will you?
Okay.
Oh, this is delightful. This really is. I love it. But anyway, so we started with like 6 or 8 people, and when I sold the dealerships a week before the COVID shutdown, we had 2 dealerships. We had 85 people working for us. We sold $80 million worth of stuff the year before, and it was all because of one thing in my mind, is that we were the no-nonsense car dealer.
Yes, you were.
And I have a lot of knowledge that I can share with people that are shopping for a car.
And that's why people maybe should think about buying the book.
Yes, and so I wrote a book about how to buy a car, basically, and not get snookered. And here's the other thing: not to bash other dealers, right, but to say, well, if you're getting a good deal, it's nice to know that you are actually getting a good deal. It's not the illusion of a deal, and it's going to kind of give you a lot of education about whether you're getting a good deal or you're getting the illusion of a good deal, and it's going to help out the dealer who's treating you right. But the other thing is that the other guy who may not exactly be treating you right is maybe going to be exposed, with some of that stuff.
Yeah. So
I look at it sort of like, well, when I had the dealership, I could do that with my own customers. Like I said, the philosophy of our dealership was that we have an orchard and we are selling apples. We're not selling firewood. We wanted people coming back again and again. And it worked, and people bought cars from us because they trusted us and they liked it. God rest his soul. Bill Peterson, the ex-weathercaster.
Channel 13.
Yeah, Channel 13. Yeah. Wonderful human being. But he said once to me, he said to somebody, he says, I buy my cars from Dom because at least I know I'm not getting screwed.
Well, that's absolutely true. I mean, heck, you must have been doing something right. I tend to be... I think I'm a reasonable consumer. I try to do my homework, and I think I bought 8 or 9 cars from you over the years that we were doing business together. So, yeah.
Well,
I think you were doing a lot of things right.
Well, I appreciate that, but the thing is I know things that you don't know,
Right?
And I know things that the average consumer doesn't know. And the way I word this is this: the whole concept is very simple. It's not that the cards are stacked against you; it's that the cards are stacked against you, and you don't know what the rules are. I mean,
That's true.
You don't. Now, when you buy a house, you have a real estate agent that kind of looks after you, right?
Sure,
right.
Absolutely. That's their job. They have to represent you and make sure that you're getting the right deal and that the I's are being dotted and the T's are being crossed. And then on top of that, you got a lawyer as well.
Right. And when you go to buy a car, who do you have?
You.
Me.
Yeah.
Or this,
and your wealth of experience.
Well, and me and the book. Okay. This is what I want. It is actually a way for you to get in touch with me at the end of the book. But I've been working on this book for an awfully long time because what I do is I write things down. Over the years I've written things down. So from working for the factory for 17 years and then working for myself as a car dealer for 26 years, I mean, I've learned some things. I've learned some things that a lot of people don't know. I've discovered things that some people don't know. And conceptually, a 30,000 foot view of car buying.
And 43 years worth of experience.
Yeah. But here's the deal. The cards are like in three different decks. Okay. So the manufacturer is operating one way. Okay. Yep. And then you have the dealers operating in another way. Yeah. And then you have the laws of the state, of the country, whatever, that are either enforced or not enforced. So you have you might want to take that.
Was my phone ringing?
Your phone is ringing.
Oh my gosh. I can't hear it.
What a great episode this is.
Gosh. Honest to goodness, not only am I colorblind, but I can't hear either. There you go.
The look of shock in your eyes was just, oh my God, this is a great episode, but this is horrible too.
Well, maybe we should start over.
We'll start over, but this might be the best one yet. But here's the thing. So the manufacturers are advertising stuff, and you can trust some of it, you can't trust some of it. Okay, and then the dealers are advertising stuff, you can trust some of it, and you can't trust some of it. And then the attorney generals, they know all this stuff is going on, and where's the enforcement of some of this stuff?
Well, they should be looking after you, but maybe they are, maybe they aren't.
Yeah. Now in the book, one of the things I do is I actually put the attorney general's guidelines for automotive advertising in the book.
That's great.
It's in the back of the book, as is the used car lemon law. Okay, so it's right there for you. But before that, we have whatever it's like 13 chapters of stuff that you don't know, but you need to know. And some of it is going to be kind of intuitive for you, and some of it is going to be like, oh my God, I had no idea.
Well, bottom line is, this book will help you to know what your dealer knows so you can drive home happy. And it's right there on the front of the book.
And the book right now is number one in our category on Amazon, and you can get it on don'tbetaken.com, or you can go to Amazon. And the name of the book is Don't Be Taken for a Ride. Know what your dealer knows and drive home happy. And in order to drive home happy, we need to sell some commercials, and they're coming up right now. This is Don for my friend Todd, who owns Martinizing Dry Cleaning in Fairport. Like I like to say to you, he picks your clothes up and he drops your clothes off. Why schlep them yourself? I love the word schlep. You can save your time and your effort and your gas and do other things rather than take your clothes back and forth. They do a great job. Their number is 425-4242, 425-4242. Use them. I do all the time. This is Dom Geneva from my friends at Metro Mattress. You know, cars have gotten better over time. Anti-lock brakes, GPS, backup cameras. Well, it's the same thing with mattresses and bases. The whole industry has changed, and there's new stuff out there that you need to be aware of. Now, one of the things is you want to deal locally, and you can have that too. You deal with Metro Mattress. They are based in Syracuse. They have 7 stores locally here in Rochester. It's where Nina and I got our mattress and base. See them. Well, welcome back, everybody. We're talking to, me
Right.
about my new book, Don't Be Taken for a Ride, Know What Your Dealer Knows, and Drive Home Happy. And I'm here with a good colleague, friend, Mike Whittemore, a voiceover fella. He used to be the co-host of the Home Repair Clinic, right?
Sure.
And during the break, he started to read my book.
Right.
So
Yeah, I did a little bit of research.
Yeah, you did a little research while the break was going on, and we discovered some things that we didn't know before. But anyway, so the whole thing about the book, like I said, I want to repeat this like 12 different times. This isn't to bash dealers, okay? They're good dealers and bad dealers. It's, you see let's put it this way: you're looking in your backyard and you see something that looks like your neighbor's dog. It could be a wolf. How do you know? So I'm going to point out some of these things. And I do it in a humorous way. I mean, quite frankly, I think that adults learn from being engaged and entertained. So there's a lot of stuff in there. I mean, there's my cheese ball story.
That was your approach with the ads that we did for all those years too. I mean, and it's hard to be funny, believe it or not.
Well, it is, and the thing is that you kind of use. I used their own energy against them when I had, when I was competing with the dealers. Well, here's the main thing. The main thing with car buying is that everybody's buying the cars for the same price. Okay,
yes.
So everybody's got
the dealers are buying the cars for the same price.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for correcting me. You're absolutely right. They're buying the cars for the same price. So if they're buying the cars for the same price, there's only one way that they can sell you cars cheaper. Okay, and that's to make less money on the car, or they got to get money from something else that they sell you to even it out.
Correct.
Okay, so if I sell you some fakakta, I like Yiddish words.
The word fakakta is just lovely.
Some fakakta interior protection package.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I can sell you the car.
I can sell a prep package.
I can sell you the car.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, literally speaking, I had a dealer on Long Island back in the day, and he was charging customers $500 for the interior protection program.
Wow, that must have been pretty heavy duty.
It was a can of Scotch Guard. Okay, a can of Scotch Guard that the cleanup kid, used if he did that at all.
Yeah, 17-year-old kid spraying the inside of the car with Scotch Guard. $500, please.
Yeah, $500, please. Absolutely. And there's in the book it shows there's the story about Fargo. And something called a delivery bump. He goes there, a guy tries to pick up the car, and they say, well, we put the paint sealant on the car. He says, I didn't want the paint sealant. He says, well, it's there anyway. Well, no, we want $500 for your paint sealant. He says, but I didn't want it. So, it goes through this thing. He argues with people, and they end up discounting it by $100. The guy's still ticked off. He leaves. He's old,
And he's paid $400 for something he really didn't want.
He didn't want. And now that's called a delivery bump. So I go through this in the book. I go through a lot of these things. Of particular interest, I have the dealer to English dictionary.
Right? Yeah.
So when a dealer says this, it might mean
here's what you need to know.
That. Yes. So, like one of the things is there's a difference between you pay and your price. Okay. Okay. Now, catch this one. There's
a difference between that.
Yes, a difference between you pay and your price. There was a dealer that had an ad, and it was you pay $17,995 on this car. $17,995 on this car.
Okay.
And in the small print, that's after you put $2,000 down.
That's why you need a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
You got to look at those little disclaimers.
Yeah, they don't call them.
They're very difficult to read.
Right, they don't call them claimers.
Correct.
They call them disclaimers, but that's what that's why they call the mouse print.
Those are the words that are said very, very quickly at the beginning or the end of the radio.
Oh yeah, and you can't understand anyway. Yeah. But you see that if you talk about the Attorney General, okay, let's get to that. It's supposed to be legible. You're supposed to be able to hear it, whatever. And I don't care what it is. It's not just the car business. They do that with airplane flights and everything. Blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Even the medication you see on TV. Don't take such and such. If
you
you're,
might die
if you're allergic to it.
Yeah.
Well, duh. Don't eat peanuts if you're allergic to them. Yeah, okay, I got that.
Yeah.
You really didn't need to tell me that. But it has different sections, and depending on what you want. And the thing about the book, I constructed the book, and the book is called "Don't Be Taken for a Ride," available on Amazon or don'tbetaken.com. The thing about the book is I wrote it in such a way that you can read this either one way or the other. You can go through everything and kind of some of the crazy stories I have in there. I have a story about my naked parts manager. Yeah, okay, it's a true story. But it's in there. It's got these these things that are kind of entertaining and interesting. But also has the strategy and tactics that you really should know about and employ when you go to negotiate a car deal. And that is one of the things that I find with people is that people don't like negotiating, but you're negotiating no matter what you do. You negotiate with your spouse, who's going to make dinner. You negotiate with your children, where you're going to go, on vacation. You negotiate everywhere you go. You negotiate something or other. You negotiate whether to make a left-hand turn or right-hand turn when you go to the grocery store. Okay.
And the fact is that the more you know, the better off you're going to be.
Right. But what I try to do with this book, and I think I'm successful at doing this, is lifting the curtains on the curtain on some things that you need to know before you start. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's like this one price selling thing. Now, just my opinion. Okay. I don't think there's anything really like one price selling. And I'll tell you why. Because your deal is much more complicated than just price.
Absolutely.
Okay? So it's price. Now, do you have a trade-in? Okay. Somebody's going to have a different value on your trade-in. Do you have financing? There's going to be different ways of a dealer either giving you better pricing or worse pricing. Now, one of the things that I reveal in the book is that there's a possibility you could go to your bank and you get a rate from your bank, and the dealer can actually give you a cheaper rate from the same bank.
Really?
Right. Yes, it's in the book.
Okay.
It's in the book. You could go to XYZ Bank and they're going to quote you 6.5. You can go to the dealership, and XYZ Bank from that dealership might be 6. Okay, so I go through all this stuff, and then the thing is that the things that you need to be aware of, so like legally, I think a lot of people are really confused about used car lemon law.
Right.
What is what's covered, what's not covered, what to look out for. The pitfalls of that. So we have a whole section on that. We have a section on the internet. What sites, and it's just my opinion, what sites should you depend on, and what sites are just bull do.
So, what sites are those?
Well, buy the book.
I like that. There's lots of reasons for buying this book. I'll tell you.
Okay, there's a lot of these rating sites that we call pay for play. Okay, pay for play. So if you pay $800, you're a good guy.
Yeah.
I'll lift the curtain on one of them that I'm particularly I think that they operate the same way, but not being in the business anymore, I can't say definitely. But when I had the dealership, Yelp, okay,
right.
They would pay for play. Well, here it is. What they would have recommended reviews and not recommended reviews.
Okay.
So the recommended reviews came to the top. If you wanted to go to the non-recommended, you had to turn a page and go the one other things. And what it appeared to be, my customers are giving me good reviews, and they're being hidden. And apparently, what they do is their algorithm is that it depends on how many reviews that the fella does. Okay, would make it either recommended or not recommended. So if somebody's doing 15 reviews on taco stands, okay, their review on my car dealership would come up. Okay, but if they only put in one, mine wouldn't come up. But anyway, we're going to talk more about that. And like I said, this is just a perception on my point, but I do have a really good story in my book about a very trusted site that accreditates dealers and businesses, but they never visit the business or the dealership.
They never actually go to the dealer.
Never actually go there. And we'll learn more about that after this break. This is Dom Geneva for my friend Jack Greco at Jack Greco Furniture. I keep saying to you that he has unique and wonderful stuff. He can build whatever you want if you want something really unique, and he has outdoor furniture. There is no reason that you should not at least go over to Jack Greco's Furniture and see what he has, because it's not like the stuff in the big box store, and you will be treated right. Go to see Jack Greco like I do. Well, welcome back. We are having a nice discussion here, Mr. Whittemore and I, about my new book. Don't be taken for a ride. Know what your dealer knows and drive home happy. Written with me, the fellow helped.
By Dom Geneva.
Yeah. Well, I got help from Stephen Miller. Stephen was the fellow who wrote the helped Gene Cornish, the member of the Rascals, yes, and in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Terrific musician.
Yeah, terrific musician. Rochester guy.
Yeah.
And Steve's writing style with Gene really worked for me. I mean, a lot of times you get these stories, and I was born to a family back, and it's like, you're falling asleep, and Steve wrote his book with Gene. It starts off with, I'm driving down the New Jersey Turnpike, and Stevie Van Zandt, and people know Stevie Van Zandt from the Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, Steven.
Yeah, he just pulled the plug on a show that he was sponsoring for us on Broadway, and after all this career was a tremendous disappointment, and I don't know what I was going to do and what happened with this whole thing. And it's like, okay, now I got interest in this. Okay, now I got interested in this. So I start this book with the cheese ball story.
Yes.
So I'm working for Chrysler.
23 years old.
Yeah, 23 years old.
Still wet behind the ears.
Yes. And I got yelled at for unwrapping cheese balls at a hospitality suite that I was setting up, and the year before, in today's money, I think we lost $1.5 billion.
Yeah.
And, I got yelled at for unwrapping cheese balls. But it was kind of an omen. You kind of know what's going to happen. But here's the thing. I was a road guy for Chrysler. I'm calling on car dealers, and maybe I kind of have a couple of rough edges or whatever. But it worked really well with street guys. Street guys and I got along well. The dealers that would yell at me and F you this and F you that, I could take that. I don't care.
Right.
It's just, that's the environment that I worked in when I was in high school and my summer job. It was just regular working guys. So it didn't bother me. I'm not
rolled right off your back.
Rolled right off my back. And I always got. I always had a lot of respect for the dealers, and the dealers had a lot of respect for me, because I kind of looked out for them. I wasn't always a company guy. It's like, Mr. Dealer, I'd like to advise you something. I think you should do this. I'm going to kind of put my foot on the ground. I really think you should do this. Or it would be, Mr. Dealer, I'm not so sure about this. Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't sign up for this program. And then sometimes I say to a dealer, they're asking me to sell something to you. I don't believe in this at all. So if anybody calls you, tell them I tried to bust your chops to buy the darn thing, whatever it was.
So Dom Geneva, the author of Don't Be Taken for a Ride, is the guy who is really on the dealer's side when he's selling to the dealer or working with the dealer.
Well, okay, and that brings up a very, very good point.
Yeah.
What you learn early when you're calling on a bunch of dealers is this. There's 20% of the dealers that are so good, I could learn from them, and there's nothing I can do with them. I mean, nothing I can do with them because they are so good. I actually mentioned one of them in the book. It's Dick Mullen. He's since passed away, but he had a dealership in Southold, New York, in North Fork of Long Island, and people just loved him. I mean, Dick. I mean, he would. I remember he's standing outside of his showroom one day. He says, "Oh, old Joe there, Joe. Let's order up this car for Joe." He says, "What do you mean order up the car for Joe?" He goes, "Oh yeah, he'll take it when it comes in." It goes, "What do you mean he'll take it when it comes in?" He says, "We do business that way." He didn't have a deposit. He ordered the car, and sure enough, the guy came because
he knew his customer,
because he loved Dick Mullen. And there are dealers like that. Now there's 60% of the dealers that maybe you can get something done with. Maybe they might be a little hard to deal with, or they can make them understand or not. And maybe they were willing and they couldn't get something done already. And then there were 20% that were absolute thieves. I mean, they're horrible. I mean, you can't do anything with them. They're scamming their customers. You can't stop them from doing it. And it's like, oh my God, they're so bad. I can't spend any time with these people. And it was my job to go into dealers and sell them their cars, but also sit down and analyze their financial statement and give them instructions about how to improve. And I had to write a contact report every month on everybody, what you would want the dealer to do. And they sent me to Detroit for a couple of weeks, and I still have the tests on my desk. It all made sense to me when I went through. They went through the financial statement line by line by line, and so I went up the ladder and got transferred to North Carolina, where I am on staff. Now, staff, you're not calling on dealers directly anymore. You're working with dealers, and you're putting dealers in business, and you're taking dealers out of business, with all the paperwork. Learned a lot with that.
Right.
So Chrysler, when they bought Jeep back in, I guess it was 86 or 87, there were 35 dealers that we had to take from AMC and to make them into the Chrysler dealers. I had to do 35 extra dealer agreements. Okay, so I learned a lot.
Yeah,
and then knowing I wanted to go into business, I'm asking each other, well, how do you do this? 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 And the thing that dawned on me is this Dick Mullen way of doing business is that there are certain dealers that treat their customers as a renewable resource.
Right.
Okay. You don't try to maximize the profit on each customer. You try to maximize the number of customers.
Right.
So when you do that, it's like the analogy I always use. Probably said it before. You're growing an orchard rather than a forest for firewood, and that's what we did. So. To do that, you have to have a certain amount of relationship with your customer. And the relationship with your customer is based upon then trust and how you're taking care of the customer, and also knowing what your product is. Now, think about this. At Kodak, and I say this, in kind of a humor sort of way, that they thought their business was pictures on pieces of paper.
Yep.
And that's how you got ahead, because your boss said, our business is pictures on a piece of paper, digital.
And
no.
Everybody in the office building sits there, says, harump, 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 harump. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're pictures
yes, sir.
on paper.
Right. Digital. No, you're not a team player. That's where I found myself. Well, you're not, I'm saying this and this and this and this, if you could sell cars this way, if you could do this and this is what your process was, then you could have a dealership that was sustainable and successful. And no. And finally, I'm not going where I want my career to go. Nita and I sold everything we had to start the dealership. We had $80,000. I made some money on a piece of real estate before we got married, and we invested that into this dealership here in Avon. Like I said, there was no power, no water. The rent was $2,000 a month. We started off with real price and real payment. It's right in the book. You can see with the first ads. So the real price and the real payment was included taxes. It didn't have rebates you didn't qualify for. And then finally, I got a federal trademark on your no-nonsense car dealer.
Yep.
And that's what we branded ourselves to be. And it worked.
And basically that's built on the idea that you want to have a great relationship with your customers.
Right. And I want everybody to have a great relationship with their dealer and recognize if the dealer is a good guy or maybe not. And so hence, don't be taken for a ride, which is available on Amazon, and it is also available on Amazon Kindle, which is really, I mean, that's like $9, But I think the book came out nice. It's nice and shiny and everything.
It looks fantastic. Yeah. I like the fact, obviously, now you're wearing a hat and grew a beard because as this book takes off, you have this really wonderful picture of yourself on the front, and you want to be incognito wherever you go. No,
that's my high school graduation picture. You can see that. But anyway. We got
a very handsome devil.
I didn't have any hair back then either. Yeah. We're going into another break, and we will be having more discussion about this. Well, after the break. This is Dom Geneva for my friends, a couple of young guys, Jarozinski Brothers Sealing. They have a very professional company to seal your driveway. They are efficient, they are reasonable, they know what to do to treat you right. Jarozinski Brothers Sealing. Just Google them, Jarozinski's Brothers Sealing, Jarosinski Brothers Sealing. They're wonderful. I use them, you should. Well, welcome back. We are having a great conversation, Mr. Whittemore and I, about, my new book. It's called Don't Be Taken for a Ride, Know What Your Dealer Knows, and Drive Home Happy. Took me 48 years to write this thing.
Yeah. How long is it going to take you to write your next one?
Well, it's interesting you should say that because it's going to be a series of books. They have the books, for dummies. I always thought that was kind of, for dummies. I'm not dummy.
Kind of speaking down to people.
But I have, there's another book in the line. It's about your computer and the computer industry and how the computer industry is taking advantage of a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And then there's another book about colleges and your major. And, a lot of people don't know that when you take a college loan out, the college gets 2% of that.
Oh.
Ooh. So there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot about that.
Wow.
And
I want that discount.
Yeah. So I think there's a series of books for people that have inside information that you don't know. Okay.
Correct.
And there's let me tell you something. I mean, this book is, like $17.75. The Kindle version is like $9. Okay. Yeah. If you don't save some exponential number of that money in time, aggravation, and actual money, I can't imagine that you won't. I can't imagine that you won't. I know stuff that you don't know, and I tell you stuff that nobody will tell you. That's the other thing too. Some guys, the good guys will be very happy with this. Okay, the bad guys are not going to be happy with this.
They're not going to want to play golf with you anymore.
Yeah, but I found cheaper ways of humiliating myself than playing golf. So that's that's fine. And this is rewarding. What's rewarding about this is that I'm going on record. This can be sold across the country. Already it's number one in its category on Amazon. It's only been out for a little bit, and it's like I said, it's just a life's work done a little bit of tongue in cheek and maybe out to help somebody with something or other.
There are 18 chapters in this book. Let's talk about some of these chapters.
Yeah.
Please release me.
Yeah, I think the thing about leasing, I said this on a prior show too, is that leasing is probably the most misunderstood thing about a car acquisition. I won't say a car purchase because it's not a purchase, but acquisition.
How so?
It's a lifestyle thing because I use the analogy. It's like a hammer. It can be a wonderful tool, but it's also a terrible weapon. You could be fit into a lease because you get seduced into a payment, but then there's so many downsides to that that you're not aware of. And I teach you this. It's sort of like, I used to tell my salespeople, cars are like shoes. They got to be comfortable, affordable, a style you like, and you can't return them. Okay. Right. So don't put somebody into something that doesn't fit them. Now, it's the same thing like buying a used car. Don't buy a used car with 135,000 miles on it and a 5-year loan.
Yeah.
It's not going to last that long. No. The worst case I ever saw was when I first went in business, and this young couple comes in. They have a Ford Explorer that has 135,000 miles on it. They bought it with 110,000 miles on a 5-year note, and the engine was blown.
And they had no warranty, no nothing to
not at that,
replace the engine.
No, absolutely not. Nobody would warranty that. But the dealer knew what he was doing.
Yep.
They didn't know what they were doing. He
was hosing them.
Well, like $200, whatever it was, they were paying $250 a month or whatever the hell the number was. But the thing is, the car wasn't going to last that long.
Right.
This is back in 1994. I don't know what happened to these people. There's a young guy with a family there with the baby, and they're crying. They don't know what to do. Well, they can't afford the engine repair, and they can't afford to trade in the car because the car is worth nothing.
Right.
Okay. So, these are the things that you take a look at. The other thing is, there's some of the things in the book, the chapters are meant for some people and not others. So even in that chapter, I say, if you would never, ever, ever consider a lease, skip the chapter.
Yeah.
Okay, but it might be worth it for you.
Let's talk about Game Day, chapter 14.
Oh yeah, well I give you the strategy and tactics to pin down the facts and figures that you need to know
when you go into when you're going in to buy a car, you're going in to see a dealer. Game Day is the chapter you want to read.
Right. I have a very well respected attorney that I've had for years. His name is Ron Passrow, and he taught me something. He said there's the 4 corners rule. Ever hear the 4 corners rule?
No.
He says anytime anything is litigated, he goes, the judge is going to look at the 4 corners of the document, okay? And that's what's going to be what he holds everybody to. Says, don't let anybody tell you that, you have a verbal agreement for this, or we do this and we don't do this, or whatever, outside of those 4 of those 4 corners of the document. So I teach you in this book how to nail down the different things that you need to talk to a dealer about and nail down. Okay, because most people, not most people, I don't know if it's most people or not. You shop price. Price. Okay,
but the fact is that's only one piece of it.
Right. It's the price of the car. Most people have a car to trade in.
Yep.
You have financing. Most people have. So how much money do you have to put down? These are the things that come into your deal. It really amazes me. You see on TV, it's $349 a month, and it says, well, you got to put $8,000 down.
Right.
And it's a 36-month lease. It's 7,000 miles, and you have to be a member of the Canadian military to get the rebate. It's like, oh my God, please. You
better have 20/20 vision, or because there's.
Yeah. Okay, good. What other chapter? I like the test I have at the end. You were looking through some of the tests.
As a matter of fact, if you take this test, everybody has to take a test before they get a driver's license. So
it's lighthearted. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. How about question number 11? You as a customer have bought 4 cars at this dealership. You have your car regularly serviced there. You bring in coffee and donuts every time you're there, yet you seem to wait around longer than anyone else. Why is that? A, they like having you around, you're a sweetheart, or B, you're what they call a good old Joe. You're not being treated right because you're so pleasant they give you no respect.
Well, and I'm glad we're going to be like ending the show with that one, because that I have to tell you, I've had that situation happen to me a number of times.
Right.
You go someplace and you're nice and you try not making a stink and whatever, and then you find out they're treating you worse.
Yeah, because you're being a good guy.
Because you're being a good guy. Don't worry about him. I was sponsoring. I'll tell you. I won't tell you what it was, but I was sponsoring something here in Rochester. It had nothing to do with the car business. And then I find out that I'm being ignored, and it's like, I get it. I'm good old Joe.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Don't worry about him. So that's the thing I teach people too. you don't have to get adversarial with the dealer, and don't start out by getting adversarial with the dealer, because sometimes, there are legitimate problems and stuff like that. You got to stick up for yourself too. And sticking up for yourself shouldn't be something fearful for you. So once again, we're about ready to say goodbye and probably have another show for next week or the week after.
Probably.
And it's called Don't Be Taken for a Ride. Don't Be Taken for a Ride. You can find it on Amazon now, or if you go to don'tbetaken.com, that is where we have a little bit more about the book, how to buy the book, a connect to the book, a way of getting there. And in the book, in the back there's actually my email address, so you can contact me if you're having trouble, or you want to tell me a story or whatever. And
you want to buy this book because you want to know what your dealer knows, so you can drive home happy.
Yeah, and that, that's it for that. And I hope everybody goes in, buys a book. It's going to be worth your while, and if nothing else, it's going to be entertaining. It makes a good gift for a graduate.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. Thanks, everybody. Again, 10 o'clock Saturday, it's the No Nonsense Round Table. And thank you, Mr. Mike Whittemore, for
it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
You.
Thanks for listening. Tune in every Saturday from 10 to 11 on News Radio Wham 1180. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll make more.